Right Honorable Sir Anirudh Jagannath, President of the Republic, Dr. Patricio Bernal, Assistant Director General of UNESCO and Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, Mr. Ari Ganu, Chairman of the Mauritius Oceanography Institute, Mr. Sibalak, Secretary for Home Affairs, Mr. Sukapadu, Director of the Mauritius Meteorological Services, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Mauritius Oceanography Institute and on behalf of the members of the National Global Ocean Observing System Coordination Committee, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We would like to thank the President of the Republic and the Assistant Director General of UNESCO, who is also the Executive Secretary of the IOC, for having taken time off their busy schedule for being among us this morning. Their presence here shows their interest and commitment to the cause of scientific research, especially ocean research. Last year, one of the main recommendations of the first National Ocean Science Forum was that this meeting of ocean scientists be held every year. We are happy to know that this year we have a response which is even more overwhelming than last year. There is a total of 31 presentations by marine scientists on various topics, ranging from erosion through marine ecosystems to marine archaeology. But even more important than this forum has been able to bring up a sense of goodwill and enhance the existing cooperation among the various stakeholders involved in ocean research, namely the Mauritius Oceanography Institute, the Ministry of Fisheries, Ministry of Environment, the Mauritius Meteorological Services, University of Mauritius, the National Remote Sensing Center, the Mauritius Research Council, the Mauritius Marine Conservation Society, and the Beach Authority, and also with our partners, namely the Mauritius Ports Authority, the National Coast Guard, the Hydrographic Office of the Ministry of Land and Housing, and above all, our parent ministry, the Prime Minister's Office. Our guests are here today and they wish to address you, so I wouldn't like to make them wait for too long. But before ending, I would like to thank all my colleagues from the various institutions who have helped in the organization of the forum, namely those grouped under the National Global Ocean Observing System Coordination Committee, the Scientific and Organization Committee of this forum, and the members of the panel who are responsible for the competition. Our thanks also go to Mr. Sukapadu, the Chairman of the National Goose Coordination Committee, the Chairman of the MOI, Mr. Ari Ganu, to the Secretary for Home Affairs, Mr. Sibalak, and to their staff for the unflinching and timely support. I would also like to thank my staff at the Mauritius Oceanography Institute, who very often volunteer to work during the lunchtime and late in the evening in order to make sure that everything was ready on time. Before ending, I wish to invite you for the next Ocean Science Forum, which will be held in 2005. The dates have already been fixed, so I would like to welcome you again next year on the 29th of August, where our next forum will be held back-to-back with a regional symposium of the Western Indian Ocean Marine Science Association, and we are expecting about 125 foreign delegates next year. Thank you. I would like now to call on Mr. Ari Ganu, Chairman of the Mauritius Oceanography Institute, to address you. Mr. Ganu.
Thank you, Dr. Bikaji. Right Honorable Sir Anirudh Jagannath, President of the Republic, Dr. Patricio Bernal, Assistant Director General of UNESCO and Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, Secretary for Home Affairs, Director of the MOI, Director of Met Services, members of the board of the MOI, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen. I wish first of all, on behalf of the Mauritius Oceanography Institute and on my own behalf, to thank most heartily the President of the Republic of Mauritius for his presence among us today. The President, with whom I've had the pleasure and privilege to work with for years now, has always taken a keen interest not only in the work of the MOI, but also in the promotion of science and the protection of the environment in his various capacities, including as Prime Minister and Chairman of the National Environment Commission. His presence here today, therefore, carries a lot of meaning for the MOI and is also an act of faith. Let me also extend a warm welcome to Dr. Patricio Bernal and our other guests from abroad who have so willingly accepted to share their experience with our scientists. We are meeting again a year after the first National Ocean Science Forum to take stock of the research in marine science that has been undertaken in Mauritius and to promote further research in this field. In this era of economic crisis, where the sugar and textile sectors are at stake, we are forced to turn to our ocean. Although the marine and coastal resources contribute significantly to the economy of Mauritius through tourism and fishing industries, much of this silent world remains largely unexploited. Moreover, there is a growing fear that our marine resources will be constantly degrading through erosion, pollution, sea level rise, storm surges, tidal waves, among others. In order to mitigate the impacts of these phenomena, there is an urgent need to understand the ocean environment, for which the data and research-oriented capabilities are imperative. Oceanographic research constitutes an important component in the economic development of Mauritius. However, the ocean is vast and full of mysteries, and the environment is so harsh that it makes ocean research and data collection activities time-consuming and expensive. We still have a long way to go in the collection and interpretation of marine data. However, I'm very pleased to see the synergy which is being generated over the years and the network that is being created by the various institutions involved in ocean-related research in Mauritius. There appears to be an enhanced, and indeed there has been an enhanced cooperation and collaboration amongst our marine scientists, and this forum is yet another step forward in bringing them together. True to its mandate, the MOI is today communicating to the scientific community and the public the results of research and the importance of oceanography in the conservation, maintenance, management, utilization, and development of marine resources. Over a short span of time, the Mauritius Oceanography Institute has been able to show its ability to work in cooperation with existing stakeholders in Mauritius and abroad. But the major work of the Institute is not yet visible to the public. Over the past years, the MOI has been carrying out scientific cruises in order to obtain depth and geophysical data more than 200 nautical miles away from our coast. The purpose of this exercise was to obtain technical data for substantiating our claim for an extended continental shelf to the United Nations Commission. This exercise should normally be completed by December 2009. I am happy, however, to say that Mauritius is one of the few developing countries which has completed its technical study well in advance. But there are still some political aspects of the problem, particularly in regard to the Chacos Archipelago and Seychelles, that needs to be cleared. But as chairman of the MOI, I have an even wider vision for this organization. Our maritime zone is vast, and its full economic potential is yet to be determined. There are resources which have not been explored yet, and there are areas which have never been visited. Only recently, a coral sample, which may be new to science, has been collected in Rodrigue and will soon be deposited for taxonomic nomenclature. There are various organizations which are presently carrying out research in the coastal zone. And instead of duplicating this, the MOI is focusing further out at sea in the ocean. We are determined to give a new impetus to ocean research so that in the years to come, the ocean becomes a source of income for the country. But we shall, at the same time, see to it that resources are managed and exploited in a sustainable manner. This is not only desirable, but it is imperative for a small island developing state like Mauritius. We are heavily dependent on our coastal and marine zones as they represent our most valuable resources, especially as regards fisheries, tourism, biodiversity, and as a potential source of renewable energy, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, government is firmly committed to pursue its policy on the protection and preservation of the marine environment and continues to dedicate substantial resources to this sector. A number of critical decisions have already been taken for the benefit of the marine and coastal environment in accordance with the national environment strategies for Mauritius. These include the phasing out of coral sand extraction from the lagoon, a study on coastal erosion and implementation of remedial works, a strategic EIA for marina, ski lanes, and bathing areas, and the creation of an Islets National Park, to name but a few. One very important step is the creation of an integrated coastal zone management division at the Department of Environment and the setting up of a national ICZM committee. This committee helps to create and maintain the necessary synergy among all stakeholders. Another achievement is the operationalization of the Blue Bay Marine Park on the occasion of World Environment Day this year. The Marine Park is now well demarcated and has dedicated 24-hour patrol conducted jointly by the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Fisheries, the Police Force, and the NDU. The Institute is currently hosted in a rented building in Cateauborn, but government has decided to allot a plot of land at Albion to the Institute for the construction of a building and laboratories. Construction is going to start early next year. And in this regard, we'd like the MOI to be the center of excellence in the region, and we are going to spare no efforts in making this come true. In this respect, we would need to consolidate the institutional and legal framework to facilitate and promote scientific research in a concerted and integrated manner. The framework should minimize opportunities for duplication and hence reduce waste of already scarce resources. It should also provide for the necessary mechanism for information sharing, as it would serve no purpose if results of research were not made available for use to promote sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a coincidence today when we are talking of the development of oceanography in Mauritius, we have decided to invite the Secretary General of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission to be among us. The experience and the success of the IOC in the development of regional and international structures are well known. Therefore, we should be looking forward to the advice and assistance of the IOC in steering MOI in order to help it attain its cruising speed. Finally, I'm confident that within a few years, ocean research in Mauritius is going to reach new dimensions. These kinds of fora can certainly assist us in attaining this goal, and I'm convinced that every participant will contribute towards the sustainable future of our ocean, as our own future depends on it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Ganu. I shall now call upon Dr. Patricio Bernal, Assistant Director General of UNESCO and Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, to give his keynote address. Dr. Bernal.
Right Honorable Sir Anirudh Jugnauth, President of the Republic of Mauritius, Mr. Harry Ganu, Chairman of the Mauritian Oceanographic Institute, Mr. Sibeluk, Secretary for Home Affairs, Dr. Bikaji, Director of the Mauritian Oceanographic Institute, Mr. Sok Apadu, Director of the Mauritius Meteorological Services, distinguished guests, scientists, students, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is in reality for me an honor to be here among you to participate in this second National Ocean Science Forum organized by the Mauritius Oceanographic Institute and by the National GOOSE Coordinating Committee, GOOSE standing for the Global Ocean Observing System. I have read the book of abstracts, and I can assure you that they reflect, the papers presented in that book of abstracts of this meeting reflect very well the diversity of issues that the scientific community and the scientists from Mauritius are trying to address and to find the answers for the benefit of all the people of the Republic. These meetings, a National Ocean Science Forum, are the natural expression on how science works. Science works by the individual enterprise of each scientist and addressing a very specific subject. There is no necessarily a previously agreed master plan to how to go and move forward with science in general. It is the individual scientists that make that decision. It is the individual group of scientists that make that individual decision. So therefore, from time to time, it is very important that scientists get together, expose themselves to the scrutiny of their peers, and try to make a state of situation on where are they collectively in order to answer the questions that society is asking from science to help it to develop the right policies to manage and protect the coastal and the marine environment. This is a stimulus to produce that synthesis. This meeting is very important in that sense, and I would like to say a couple of things about the meeting. First of all, provides this opportunity, as I said, to expose the work of individual scientists to the scrutiny of their peers. This assures that we do maintain in the scientific community as a group the right standards. And it also opens to the scrutiny of members of the scientific community from other latitudes and other geographical locations. This is very important that these national meetings should become a center for an encounter of scientists from Mauritius with colleagues from other places of the world. And in this, I would like to commit the resources and the will of this Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO to help you to achieve that goal. And it's also very important that here we help and provide incentives to the young students, to the people that are making their first inroads into marine sciences, to express themselves, to write their initial results, to present them to the scrutiny again of their peers and their teachers and professors. It is an important step forward, and this is the only way that we can really assure the establishment of a mature scientific community. But the third thing that this forum brings together, and has been said very well by Mr. Harry Ganou, we need to integrate the knowledge that comes from the different disciplines into a synthesis that can be used and applied for practical purposes by the government and by different stakeholders. In reviewing the list of organizations that are active in Mauritius around the oceans and around ocean research, it becomes very apparent that a major challenge lies in the mere coordination of their activities. This is not unique to Mauritius. It is common to all countries of the world, where we do face the very classical structure of different aspects of the economy that deals with the coastal environment and with the oceans are dealt with by different elements of the administration. Therefore, each administration tends to act on its own and with little sideways consultation with other departments, posing a severe difficulty in coordinating the activities. In our work in UNESCO and the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, we can give testimony that this happens all over the world, and it happens not only at the national level, where national governments are organized through this classical structure in departments, but also happens at the international level. We do have a Ministry of Fisheries at the national level. We do have an International Food and Agriculture Organization. We do have a Ministry of Transport, Maritime Transport, and we do have an International Maritime Organization in London. We do have several institutes related to ocean science and research, and we do have an Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission in Paris. So the structure of the national government in itself doesn't help and does not promote the natural coordination that is needed to establish ocean policies. Ocean policies are needed. Today, the world is using more intensively than ever the resources of the ocean. I just want to read you some of the numbers that reflect how important the ocean is, not only for island states, but also for the whole of humanity. Ocean comprise 72% of the Earth's surface, and it is this feature of the planet that makes the planet the only planet known in the universe with life. We do have a moderate climate that we can live, and life has developed in it because we have 72% of the surface of this planet made of water containing the oceans. Coasts contain more than 50% of the human population. Humans are not uniformly distributed on the surface of the earth. They have tended historically and even more recently to concentrate around the coast. So the coasts are being subject to an increased pressure from the use of these increasing human populations and large coastal megacities. 70% of the megacities greater than 8 million inhabitants, each of them, are located in the coast. 42 of the world nations are small island developing states which are especially dependent, as you very well know, on oceans and its resources. The coastal zones yield more than 90% or around 90% of the global fisheries, on which more than 400 million people, 400 million fishermen rely for their livelihood. 90% of the world trade moves by ship. It doesn't move by other means. So still we are communicated among and across the oceans between the continents by the sea, by the ocean. It is not an ocean that divides, actually is an ocean that unites. Travel and tourism is the largest industry in the world. Much of it is related to coastal and marine areas, and I am sure that here the tourist industry is a very, very important income for the Republic. Over 20% of the world's energy supplies are today produced in oceans areas offshore. They are no longer being taken out from the surface of the earth. They are taken under the surface of the ocean. Marine aquaculture, a rapidly growing industry, accounts for 30% of the world fish consumption because much of the food and feed for these aquaculture enterprises is coming from fish meal, high-quality fish meal produced from wild fish catch. Coral reef resources contribute an estimated $375 billion to the world economy annually. This is just a sample of how important the oceans are for humanity. And I would like to reflect just on two very important policy aspects that are, if a little bit removed from directly from science, are very important for setting up the framework and reference for the meeting. First of all, one that was already mentioned by Dr. Bikaji and by Dr. Ganu, the fact that United Nations in 1982 adopted the text of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. That convention, when establishing the new relationships and the new rights of the coastal state, provided, in essence, the largest transference of resources that has taken place in history by granting the responsibility to the coastal state over the 200-mile zone, the so-called economic exclusive zone. This is a transfer of not total sovereignty, but of the domain and the right to exploit the resources in the water column and in the bottom of the sea. But that right was given also with a lot of responsibilities attached to it. And the coastal state needs to develop the capabilities to really manage those resources, to demonstrate that they are doing it in a responsible way and they are doing it in a very efficient way. It is very important to mention that in 1994, we finally had this convention that, as I said, was agreed in 1982, endorsed by sufficient number of countries to make it now the law of the planet. And it is an important aspect of the activities, I'm sure, of the scientific establishment in Mauritius to help the Republic to really come forward with the capabilities to make a significant use of these increased resources. The second point and final point I would like to say is the following. Today we are engaged in the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission very heavily in the development of a single global ocean observing system. The development of this system is needed because we need the information from the oceans in order to understand and predict the vagaries of the weather and climate. It is not on the atmosphere that the answer lies on the forecastability, the predictability of the atmosphere, weather, or longer, the seasonal changes in climate from year to year, and longer from decades to decades. It is in the oceans. And the ocean has been certainly under-observed, under-sampled. It is not easy to take observations from the ocean. You need at least research vessels, you need a boat to be there, out there, and collect the precise data and information. It is not cheap, it is rather expensive. This has hampered the scientific effort to understand better the ocean dynamics, but the Global Ocean Observing System today is, by applying new technologies, is helping us to really overcome these difficulties. And we are today at the level of having deployed close to 1,200 automatic floats all around the ocean that collects information of the 2,000 meters below the surface and relay them automatically by satellite to land. Mauritius has played a very important role in spearheading the effort to build the Global Ocean Observing System in the Indian Ocean. Mauritius is privileged to be at the crossroad of the Indian Ocean. In the Indian Ocean basin, we do have the countries of East Africa, we have the countries of the Arabian Peninsula, we have South Asia, we have Indonesia, we have Australia. Very different groups of countries with different traditions and without an obvious tradition of working all of them together. So in order to build an organization and an institution that will be able to manage and implement, put in place an ocean observing system for the Indian Ocean was not an easy task, and it still is not an easy task. And we needed to really bring together all those different groups of countries, in this case, to work together and to learn how we can work together in the Indian Ocean. We have made significant progress, and in no minor part, thanks to the efforts that Mauritius has given us as play by organizing the first Indian Ocean Goose meeting here in Mauritius 2 years ago, and by actively participating in the coordination of the different actors and stakeholders that are building the global ocean observing system. I expect that in this process, this crossroad should benefit, this crossroads position should benefit Mauritius directly. I believe that by offering yourself as a platform for cooperation, for international cooperation, you're making yourself available to be the hub of several networks. And I believe that the working of the, I know, small scientific community here in Mauritius, but to making yourself available to this very important role of international cooperation, you will greatly benefit by having the possibility of participating on several networks of scientists around the Indian Ocean Basin and widely in scientists around the world. We have started a project called GRANT that is the bringing together the different groups of countries that are cooperating in the development of the global ocean observation system in the world to work together in the application of several theoretical models, numerical models about the ocean and coastal areas. This will take place during this coming year. I certainly will invite you to consider the possibility of being part of these efforts in order to be better integrated in the international efforts to build the global ocean observing system. Finally, I would like to say that to come here to be part of this national, very important meeting, it was a decision that I took because I believe that we need to help you to be more and more part of these international networks. One of the risks of being an island state is precisely to become too isolated. Small communities, for example, the small number of scientists that are working here in Mauritius need to be interconnected with other scientists to overcome the difficulty of being too few. You have to build the critical mass, perhaps not by having many scientists immediately here working in Mauritius, but you can shortcut by making links with other scientists in other places of the world. We have developed a very significant program of networking in the IOC, and I offer to you all the methods and means and experience that we have in networking for you to build efficient networks around the Indian Ocean Basin and with other areas of the world. I think this is the way in which you can assure your younger scientists to have the right environment to develop, the right environment to communicate with other scientists, to make significant strides forward by bringing here the experience of others with a longer tradition in scientific research. I am very pleased to be here. I'm very honored to participate in this opening ceremony, and I would like to thank you for having the kindness to invite me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bernal. You can rest assured that we shall be looking forward to quite a bit of collaborative work with the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission. I shall now call upon the Right Honorable Sainaru Jagannath, President of the Republic, to give the inaugural speech.
The Assistant Director of UNESCO and Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Secretary to Cabinet, Head of the Civil Service and Chairman of the Mauritius Oceanography Institute, the Secretary for Home Affairs, the Director of the Mauritius Oceanography Institute, members of the Diplomatic Corps, I'm repeating, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be associated with the second National Ocean Science Forum organized by the Mauritius Oceanography Institute. This relatively new organization has a tremendous challenge awaiting it in the years to come, that of managing our maritime zone and exploring our immense exclusive economic zone in view of determining resources of economic importance. For a very long time, a lot of our economic development efforts have been concentrated on land-based activities. Open ocean economic activities were restricted to fishing. The United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea grants Mauritius with an exclusive economic rights over a maritime area of nearly 2 million square kilometers, which is about 1,000 times our land area. Our claim on the resources of the sea bottom beyond our exclusive economic zone can be increased even further if Mauritius can prove to the United Nations that its continental shelf extends beyond our economic exclusive zone. With such a large exploitable maritime zone, it is quite probable that ocean resources could become one of the main pillars of the Mauritian economy. With globalization, our main industries, sugar and textiles, are going through tough times. We have to start looking for alternative sources of income. It is a question of survival for vulnerable economies like ours. I have been told that the Mauritius Oceanography Institute is harnessing its efforts towards finding new offshore fishing grounds in collaboration with the Ministry of Fisheries in developing novel techniques in energy generation from the sea, in determining the feasibility of mineral exploitation from the deep, and in helping in the management of our ocean resources. Indeed, 2 million square kilometers of sea can hold a lot of potential. The challenge is now on the MOI to come up with novel ideas so that we can tap the vast opportunities offered by our ocean resources. As you are aware, the ocean has more in store for us apart from economic resources. I have been given to understand that the oceans have a profound impact on our climate and that climate predictions are largely enhanced by oceanographic studies. Ladies and gentlemen, for reasons I have mentioned earlier, much remains to be done before we can develop a culture for ocean research. But everything has a beginning. Initially, we have had to bear with limited local technical capacity and infrastructure. But I know that the Mauritius Oceanography Institute has plans to develop quite fast in terms of infrastructure, and I am confident that through regional and international collaborations and through the help of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO, the MOI will position itself as a center of excellence in the Western Indian Ocean region. One of the mandates of the Institute is the communication of ocean research results to scientists and the public in general. I'm very pleased to find so many people, especially secondary school students, present today. Recently, the Mauritius Research Council undertook a number of studies on the status of science and technology in the educational sector in Mauritius. There is a serious call for concern as the studies reveal that fewer than 30% of our ordinary level students are opting for science in secondary schools. I would, for my part, look forward to the timely implementation of the recommendations and action plan of the Mauritius Research Council if we want to reverse this trend. I hope that the scientists who will be presenting their papers will help rekindle the interest of our students for science in general and for ocean science in particular. Before ending, I wish you fruitful deliberations, and I hope that your recommendations will go a long way in breaking new grounds for our ocean scientists. I wish the Mauritius Oceanography Institute plenty of success. I now declare open the second National Ocean Science Forum, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sir Anirudh Jagannath. We shall now move on to the last part of this opening ceremony, which is the award ceremony. Now, in order to encourage marine scientists to carry out research and present their results in this forum, the National Global Ocean Observing System Coordination Committee, which I'll call the NGCC, has decided to offer prizes for the best original posters and best papers to be presented in this forum. I would like to remind you that the NGCC, which is offering the prizes, is made up of representatives of all the organizations involved in marine science research in Mauritius. The chairman of the committee is Mr. Sokapadu from the Meteorological Services, and the deputy chairman is Professor Faguni from the University of Mauritius. Now, because the NGCC is made up of representative of all organizations, it wasn't possible to exclude any organization from participating in the competition because they are the organizers, because there wouldn't be anybody to participate. So all organizations were invited to participate, but we made sure that the panel for selecting the best paper and poster did not include any author or co-author. In fact, the panel was made up of PhD holders from the Meteorological Services, the Mauritius Research Council, and the Ministry of Fisheries, which did not participate in the competition. So I would now like to ask the Right Honorable President of the Republic if he could come in front to present the prizes to the winners. We shall announce the awards for the posters first. The second best poster award, before announcing that, I would like to tell you that even the winners don't know up to now who has won. We've kept it a secret. So it is not they're going to know about it. The second best poster award goes to the authors of the poster entitled Measuring Primary Productivity in the Indian Ocean. The authors are Mr. Reza Badal and Ms. Tanya Bowen. So that was for the second best poster. And the best poster, that is the first best poster award, goes to the authors of the poster entitled Oceanic Studies at Saint-Brandon. The authors are Mrs. Rina Nursimlu Lowry and Ms. Manisha Gopal. I believe the students in this room will be happy to know that these two ladies, they are scientists, and they have been going to Saint-Brandon, not on a luxury cruise, but on the Coast Guard vessel, in very rough seas, and they actually are still working on their project. We shall now look at the awards for the papers. We shall start with the last one. The third Best Paper Award goes to the paper entitled A Mathematical Model for Simulation of Oil Slick Dynamics with Application to Port Vue Harbor. The authors are Mr. Rangan, Dr. Bharat, and Professor S.D.D.V. Raghupat. The second Best Paper Award goes to the paper entitled Valorization of Biopolymers from the Mauritian Marine Environment. The authors are Dr. Dan Jerry, Dr. Archana Brau-Blacksimon, Osanu, Jawodi, and Mangaru. Now for the first best paper. So the best paper award goes to the paper entitled Le rôle des récifs coralliens dans l'évolution récente des côtes sableuses, les cas de Maurice et de Rodrigue. The author is Dr. Virginie Caz Duvat. So congratulations to all the winners, and all these papers are being presented in the forum. So I would invite all those who are present here today to attend the forum, especially when not especially, but to attend all the papers. But probably you'd be more interested to listen to these presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I would now like to invite you for a cup of tea or coffee, and we'd like to invite the President, Dr. Bernal, and all our guests for a cup of tea, and you will follow. Thank you.